Hi, it's Colleen Bishop, the Preparedness Pro, and tonight I'm going to make a yummy dish. It's perfect for the time of year when you're pulling out great things from the garden. I'm going to make a combination. Usually I just use fresh ingredients because I consider part of my long-term food plan to include garden ingredients. But I'm going to do a combination, mostly fresh ingredients, but a little bit of canned as well, just so that you can get a feel that you can make it either way. So you don't have to worry about your gardening abilities to duplicate this recipe. This is called an eggplant ratatouille, and I absolutely love it. Eggplant is typically not everybody's favorite food. However, I have discovered that this recipe can win just about anyone over. Also the ratatouille component. It's really hard to get a ratatouille right, but I'm giving you the great recipe, no fail, you can't mess it up, and you're gonna have a perfectly wonderful ratatouille with several layers. In fact, one of the things I'm gonna do is use a fig-infused balsamic vinegar right at the end, and it's just gonna really marry everything else really well together. Plus we've got orange zest and tomatoes and leeks, all kinds of wonderful flavors. I'm gonna use my pressure cooker because that's the key to it only being 4 minutes of cooking time. I'm just gonna start off with just about a tablespoon of olive oil, and I'm gonna put in some garlic. Now this garlic has already been peeled, but I love these little garlic peelers. They're just so darn easy. You just put your unpeeled garlic in there and you roll your hand, palm of your hand over the top, and the garlic is peeled. I'm not gonna mince this garlic. It's really not necessary when you're doing pressure cooking. Instead, I'm just gonna smash it, because this is gonna melt anyway in this cooking time. Maybe just cut it in half and that's it. I'm just using a little butane stove here. And the nice thing about pressure cookers and butane stoves is that you could literally bring your pressure cooker dish up to high pressure and then turn off your fuel, wrap the pressure cooker in towels, and it will continue to cook for up to an hour. I don't know of anything that cooks that long in a pressure cooker. I don't have any recipes that require that much time, but that's just an example. So a pressure cooker is going to save you money, so you don't have to buy the Wonder Box or anything of that nature. It's a great investment, and I highly recommend that you get a good pressure cooker, not a cheap one. It'll make a difference. It really will. Okay, so we've got our garlic. I also have leeks. I love growing leeks, and I was telling a friend earlier that if you want to figure out which onion to use in a particular recipe, you can almost never go wrong with a leek. I love it, especially in soups and stews. It's wonderful. However, the way the leeks grow, they get dirt in between the various layers. So I like to clean them really well, and then just before I use them, I just give them one more wash just to make sure. So I've got the garlic in there. We're gonna do the leeks, and I'm gonna go ahead and turn this on. Just put it up there high. Okay. We're just gonna get the garlic and the leeks a little soft for us. It already smells good. And all we've got in here is garlic and leeks. I love the Kuhn Rikon pressure cooker. It's the only one that I buy. I wouldn't mind the BRK brand, which is also a European brand. These particular manufacturers know what it's like to have to rely on a pressure cooker, to have to rely on minimum fuel. It's not that they don't have fuel, obviously, in Switzerland, but their culture comes from a time in which you couldn't guarantee when you would have that fuel. Okay, so we're just gonna soften these up a little bit, and while that's going on, I'm gonna go ahead and chiffonade this basil. The recipe specifically calls for thin strips, but what that basically means is chiffonade. And so all you do is, I just layer my pieces of basil here, and you just roll it up nice and tight, like so, and then you just cut. They can be long strips, but you just want them thin, and that's going to make the recipe really pretty. There we go. So we just now got these long strips. Pretty. Put that right in there. Okay. All right, now this is starting to get all fired up. See how quick that was? And that's because I use a good quality pan. So everything's nice and soft. We just have that 1 tablespoon of olive oil in there. And now I'm going to take the opportunity to coat. I've got just a half a cup of orzo pasta. We're going to do just about two teaspoons of oregano leaves. I'd much rather use fresh, but I told you I'm doing a mix. And we just need a teaspoon of fennel seed. The fennel seed really does make it, in my opinion. And just a pinch of the red pepper flakes. Just not much there. Incorporate those. And now it calls for, the recipe I have on there is usually a vegetable broth, but I also like to make it with the chicken broth. And what I use the Shirley J brand of chicken bouillon. It actually has chicken in it. You wouldn't know that. It's also very low sodium. In fact, out of several national chains, the chefs in those chains actually preferred the Shirley J brand. And they're typically kind of snobs about that. They usually only use paste that you would, a chicken bouillon paste or chicken stock paste that you would use, but has to be refrigerated, and it's very expensive. The Shirley J brand has no MSG in it, and it actually has chicken in it. So all I did was put a couple cups of water with a teaspoon of the Shirley J chicken bouillon. Woohoo! Okay, now we're ready to add our other veggies. I'm going to put in, you want about a pound of big, thick, chunky eggplant. You will have to peel your regular eggplant, but you won't have to peel Japanese eggplants. And there's all kinds of varieties that I'm planning on growing in my garden this summer. I decided I was going to do a whole garden. First I was just going to do potatoes and tomatoes to try to make sure I had the hang of it. And then I thought, oh no, potatoes and melons. But no, I decided I'm going to grow everything this year that I have in my favorite recipes. Okay, so that's going. Now we're going to add our basil. That's a lot of basil, but it's a tightly packed cup of basil. I grow my herbs inside my house. I have my office has a little sunlight in the ceiling. Oh, it smells so fabulous. Now the interesting thing about cooking with a pressure cooker is there are a couple of things that don't do so well in a pressure cooker. Dairy doesn't do so well in a pressure cooker, and sugar. So this particular recipe actually calls for tomatoes, and tomatoes will break down and get very sugary, and so they will actually starch your pan. We're going to have tomatoes in this recipe, but we're going to gently lay them on the top of our ingredients. Okay, I've got this simmering now. I'm going to add my red bell peppers. These will work if they're freeze-dried too. You can reconstitute them ahead of time. You can also dehydrate eggplant, really easy. Some fresh pepper, a little bit of salt here. And then I'm going to stir this up now that we've got the salt in there. Oh, it just looks so pretty. It smells divine. And now what I need to do is gently place the tomatoes on top here. I just did a can of diced tomatoes. They actually just need about 1.5 pounds. And you just want to gently place them on top because you want to have space between where they are and where the bottom of your pan is. Normally I would just use fresh plum tomatoes, but I don't have those right now, and so I just use canned. Okay, easy peasy. Now we're ready to put the lid on. Okay, and what's going to happen, we've got plenty of heat in here, so what's going to happen is this is going to tell us when we're at high pressure. When we get to 1 red line, that's low pressure, and 2 red lines, that's high pressure. So we're going to actually cook this at high pressure. As soon as it hits high pressure, I'm going to set the timer for a whopping 4 minutes. That's all that we need. And then when we're done, we're going to add just a few more wonderful touches. So I'll be right back in 4 minutes of high pressure cooking. Okay, we're all finished. So the first thing you want to do when you're done cooking, and I learned this the hard way, it may sound simple, is to completely turn off the heat source. Or if you have a residual heat source, like you're on the oven, remove it from the heat source. And then you're going to reduce the pressure. You can do that by hand, like that. Give yourself the facial. I have a basil facial going on here. Or if you don't enjoy that, you can just do it with a spoon. But I don't have any problem with the hand. Now, just so you know, I'm going to make this noise on purpose because sometimes it scares people. Their finger kind of slips off of the... Okay, don't be scared by that. It's okay. It's just all the little safety features working like they're supposed to. So this is what's called a quick release. This is where you're pushing the pressure button down to completely release all the pressure that's built up. Now the reason why I make such a big deal about you taking off the heat source is you'll be doing this all day if you still have heat on the bottom of your pan. Now gee, how did I discover that? Okay, if this stays down, then all your pressure is released. If it still pops up a little bit, don't try to open it. See, it's still popping up just a little bit. Alright, now it's staying down. So I slowly open this. More of the steam's going to come out, so I let it do that before I open it all the way. And then when you do open and take the lid off, point it away from you, like so. That's how I got a really bad burn one time. I was trying to film myself while taking the lid off, and that didn't work very well. Okay, so here's what our mixture looks like right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to push some of the eggplant up against the side of the pan so that I have a little bit of a puree going on. I could just get one of the little stick blenders. I don't want it quite that mushy. Just press it. Just mush these parts here. Okay. Now we have got a pinch of sugar to add, just to level out the acidity. It's about a teaspoon or two. And then I'm just going to put a couple tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. However, I specifically get the Lucero ones because I love the infused flavors. This is a fig infused flavor. It goes wonderful with this. And then you also want to put in one more tablespoon of olive oil at this point. So I'm going to put in a mandarin orange infused olive oil, just a tablespoon. And then last but not least, we'll use the orange, the microplane, and I'm just going to do it the whole orange. It smells so good. It's the perfect meshing of flavors here. Just so you know, if you're not aware, when you're using the zest from an orange or a lemon or lime, you want to make sure you stay only with the very outside. You don't want to get any of that white pith. It's very bitter. In fact, that's where the expression came from, where you hear somebody was really pithy, meaning it was very bitter person. Okay. Wonderful. Oh, it smells so good. I wish you had smell-o-vision on your computer screens. Okay, we're going to just stir this up here. And then I'm going to put it in this lovely bowl. We'll ladle it out. There we go. Just smells absolutely heavenly. And I like to do just a little bit more of the lemon zest right on the top. Serve this with some chunky bread or breadsticks. and you will just be in heaven. So, this is definitely better than freeze-dried entrees or MREs. This is real food that I intend to eat now, as well as in the midst of a crisis, because it uses minimal amount of fuel, minimal amount of ingredients, very simple flavors, and it's so easy to do. So till next time, I'm Colleen Bishop, the Preparedness Pro. Be sure to join us and look up this recipe at preparednesspro.com.